Hi, and welcome to the NBA Economy Show. This is Fritz, coming to you once again. I had little technical difficulties. I guess the equipment's running a little hot, but basically just coming with the latest news. We have a couple signings over the last few days, and a couple like pending NBA stories that we didn't update on, but we'll update it on now and see how this is gonna really affect things going forward. Yesterday, the big news was the Knicks signed Precious Achiuwa to a 1 year, $6 million deal. And being that we waived his bird rights, so we weren't able to like match anything, but we're still able to sign him. Um, he received a no trade clause, and the Knicks and he waived it. So he actually voluntarily waived it because it's automatically given to him, and that uh, seems to signal that the Knicks may trade him. Not just because it's he waived the no trade clause. It's just that it's a 1 year deal, and going forward, if he played the whole year and at the end of the year, um, the Knicks wouldn't be able to sign him to whatever he wanted. They would have to sign him just like a new free agent. They would have to use a mid-level exception to do it. So it really looks like they're going to trade him mid-season. He knows this. Um, we know he likes it in New York, but it just seems like the Knicks financially need to maneuver in a way that Precious can't stay. Um, all summer, the Knicks pretty much has been neglecting Precious Achiuwa, try to get a larger trade done. And everybody's like, why is Precious? Why didn't they sign Precious yet? Why didn't they sign Precious yet? Because Precious is one of those flexible assets that they could put in trades to pull off something bigger, um, to make a lot of things work. The way the CBA is, if you're over at the first apron, you have to be within 10%. So this was definitely a contract that's very flexible. Um, where does that put the Knicks? Precious Achua is not a center. He's a power forward. Um, I think the Knicks may, in an emergency, for right now, you can kind of slide him in at backup center. I personally think he'll still be. I think the Knicks may have a trade up their sleeve before the season, um, but it looks like Precious is gonna play some 7 minutes no matter what. Even if he's the third string, he's gonna play some minutes. Um, what we were looking at a few weeks ago, what the Knicks were looking at high salary centers. Um, I think that's still in play. Um, the circumstances before is where you would use a lot of Precious's, if they gave him like a lot of money and then add some salary on top of this. I think at this point we're in a danger zone for Mitchell Robinson. So Mitch may be in danger of being traded mid-season, and I think there's a lot of things into that. I don't think it's just Mitch. I don't think it's Mitch's health per se, but I think it it may be done if they're gonna keep um, Julius Randle, and if Julius Randle and the Knicks are far apart, um, the Knicks probably hope that they can come to some kind of compromise, and that means getting money from elsewhere. If if Julius doesn't see that that raise is enough, um, he is eligible in 2 days, um, but he has put the word out that he is in no rush to sign it. The Knicks are in no rush to sign him either. So whatever, they haven't come to an agreement, and the word is that they're far apart. Um, Jalen took that you know price cut. Um, I'm not sure if the Knicks want to give it all to Julius. Um, so we'll have to see what's going on. It's an interesting situation. Um, yeah. Precious Achiuwa, we knew was traded to the Knicks in that Raptors trade mid through this season, December 30th. He's 24 years old. Played 49 games last season, 18 starts, averaged 7.6 points, 7.2 rebounds, 1.1 assists, 1.1 blocks in 24.2 minutes. So, yeah, he's, when we were getting toward the end of the season, uh, I for one, and a lot of people was like, "Oh, Precious is gone." There's no way the Knicks can afford him, or maybe he was on a pace. I thought maybe he was on a pace to make 8 million, 10 million a year, and I thought the Knicks were just being out of it. Um, what happened is in the playoffs, um, he really didn't show well playing center, and that seemed to bring his price down. So he's within the Knicks range, but it looks like the Knicks are gonna use him as trade bait midseason. That isn't the only signing the Knicks did. Today they signed Chuma Okeke, of formerly of the Orlando Magic. He put 4 years with the Magic. Um, they do list him as power forward, but he's kind of like a tweener. So he's like a small forward, power forward. So why are the Knicks getting another small forward as power forward? Well, first off, I think is the big reason I think is because he's CAA. Um, he has the same agent as a few other Knicks on the roster. The Knicks always take care of the CAA people, so giving him an Exhibit 10 contract basically lets him come into training camp, show what he can do. Um, Maybe show another team what he's worth. If that doesn't work, the Knicks will put him in Westchester. He could play in Westchester until something pops up or an injury happens, and then he could join the roster. Exhibit 10 guys don't make a lot, but if he goes to Westchester, he'll make like $150,000. So it's something you can do while he waits to get back in the league. Um, with injuries, he could find himself back on the roster very easily. So I really wouldn't look at Chuma Okeke as looking to replace somebody. I don't see him as being the backup power forward or even third string small forward. I think the Knicks were helping their guys out by signing him. It doesn't hurt them. Um, they can always put him in Westchester. So I think that's what his role is. I don't think anybody's scared for their jobs. Um, this year, we may be seeing a much improved Jericho Sims. We have been seeing some Jericho Sims video. We saw him with Mike Bibby. Um, we also saw him with his NBA trainer. And, so, it's just not the videos. But there was actually some information put out by Stefan Bondi and in the New York Post, and it said Jericho Sims is expected to compete for important backup spot behind Mitchell Robinson, and it shows that he rehabbed the last two off seasons from surgery, and it limit his preparation for those seasons. So we know he was injured last year, where he tore his labrum in cuff tendon, but what we didn't know um, is that he was hurt 2 years ago. So usually, that kind of stunts his development, because usually in the summer is the time that you're working on your game. That's the time where you put those improvements in, and then you apply it during the year. So if he was rehabbing the last 2 years, he really hasn't put in much in his game, and we have seen that he hasn't really progressed. He's a superb athlete, but just some of the basketball things, Sims just hasn't gotten. So maybe this summer is the summer he gets to put some of those things in, and apply it into his game. You know, the opportunities are going to be there no matter what, because just that center position is not stacked. So even if they bring someone in, he'll get sparing minutes, and he can prove himself. Um, but I do see him as a trade piece with 1 year left. Is the Knicks roster has 3 or 4 1 year guys, so we could be looking at mid-season. The Knicks are putting all these 1 year contracts together and bringing in another piece. Um, so that's it for Sims. The next part was is Rokas Jokic staying in the NBA? And last week we did show a video of he had a goodbye video, saying that he was joining a new team. Um, but what we found out in his new contract is that he has outs on that contract, and one of his outs were today. So up until today, he could have gotten out of that contract. So now he's locked in to his new contract, but he has it so that in the summer, he can walk away scot free for the next 2 seasons from his team. So the Knicks wouldn't need to buy him out from any contract. He's kind of free to leave in the summer if he wants. So that's a good thing for Rokas. Perhaps we may see him again. He kind of started slow, but he showed a nice feel for the game. Even though Tyler Kolek is the one talked about a lot, he really showed a good feel for the game, and that he can be a good NBA player if given the opportunity. And I actually had we were short in centers. A lot of people are focusing in on Walker Kessler, um, Jalen Duren. Those are two names I think you're going to hear unless they go somewhere else that the Knicks are interested. They're two very, very talented players, but the return on them would be huge if the Knicks tried it. I'm not sure if the Knicks have the amount to get a return for either one. Walker, they probably should have enough, but Danny Ainge always wants a little more, so that may be difficult. Me personally, I was just looking at trades and things we can do. One name that really came up that I kind of liked was Trace Jackson Davis from Golden State. Would we do a deal with Golden State? Not per se. And the reason I brought up Golden State and this particular player is because Golden State is interested in doing a deal with the Jazz, and so with the Jazz are not interested in everyone the Golden State has, especially forwards and centers. We see they're stacked. Why would they want those type of players when they have 3 or 4 guys they can't play themselves right now? And Trace Jackson Davis is the type of player, perhaps in a bigger deal, where if they got marketed to Golden State and Golden State had to give up some of their youth, that we can take Trace Jackson Davis and then give in return to Utah something they want. So in return, I think it would still cost Deuce. Maybe Deuce and some draft compensation. Um, why would I trade Deuce? Just because there just isn't a lot of time for Deuce to play. Not because Deuce is not a good player, not because Deuce is not talented or he doesn't have a future. It's just the playing time just is limited, and there are other guys who are natural point guards, who could take that spot for him. Um, I think Trace Jackson Davis could could be a good fit. So last year he was drafted pretty much at the end of the draft, but he really impressed. They really brought him in as a power forward, but he did well at center, and that's what I would look for him to do here. He plays a lot like his father, and his dad is Dale Davis. Um, so kind of that 6'9", 6'10", rough, could play inside, very mobile, but very tough. So he's doing within 16.6 minutes, 7.9 points, 5 rebounds. Has trouble at the free throw line, um, but definitely a guy Tibbs would like. He he definitely can drive the lane, so he's definitely a guy you can kind of do pick and rolls, and he can drive to the rim with sure hands. That's something that like Mitch Robinson just just can't do. His hands, he just can't hold on to the ball. He has very sure hands, very tough defender. I think his defense is really good, really really good. So that was pretty much my trade idea. Um, a lot of people would not like to give up Deuce, but to get something like that, I think you would have to give up Deuce. I don't like him more than Walker Kessler or Jalen Duran, but I think he may be more attainable. So that's someone I would be interested in. Um, for my last part, NBA on TNT. This was from talking about last week with the Amazon winning the TV rights, and actually Amazon actually talking to um, all the stars of inside the NBA, trying to get them, um, actually both networks, so NBC and Amazon, were talking, trying to get inside the NBA's stars to come over. We heard that they were like very accommodating because Inside the NBA is filmed in Atlanta. They even offered to like build a studio in Atlanta to have it. So it looks like you know they're gonna get a payday from one of them. One of them is gonna pay them. We know TNT um, really downplayed getting the NBA this time around. Um, basically saying they didn't need the NBA until the last minute, and then they were upset. Um, uh, they were outbid. They put in a reply bid because they had in their contract, their last contract, that they can match bids, and the problem with TNT trying to match bids is they can't match Amazon, because when Amazon signed their contract, what Amazon did, Amazon has like a lot of distribution, so Amazon would have it so that in America we pretty much get our channels anywhere. You just sign up for a streaming service or your cable network. You could just add it on as a package. But other parts of the world, you just can't do that. And pretty much Amazon has it so that other parts of the world, if they sign up with Amazon, they can get those channels that maybe they can't get in their country through the service. And that's something TNT just can't offer. And so when they tried to match it, that's something that they just can't match. So the NBA rejected it. So between all the new media, it's a 11-year deal. I'm probably gonna have another video going into why it's such a big deal for the Knicks, because the NBA players are gonna get a ridiculous payday from this, especially the first few years of this contract. So that's a big reason why Jalen Brunson probably took that pay cut, because he knew big money was going to come anyway from this new TV deal, and even though he would miss it, there's good incentive for him to take a cut now and then take an extension later. If you have any questions, just drop it in the chat. We're certainly not expecting Julius Randle to extend in 2 days. We're not expecting an extend in 2 days. It seems like they're far apart. And the way I really look at this Julius situation is this is Julius' last payday. This is the last time he's going to make big NBA money. And he took a cut 2 times. He took a cut coming to the Knicks initially, coming from New Orleans. He signed for $25 million. Remember, the Knicks had like 4 forwards at the time. So he took a nice cut to come to New York. Obi came the same time. He beat them all out, all NBA, out of nowhere. So he signed for cheap, and then it came time for extension. A lot of players were getting paid high 30s, and then he took a contract for around 25 to allow them to sign other players. That's the reason we were able to sign Fournier, and that's the reason why we were able to sign Kemba Walker. 2 contracts we were able to undo, but his sacrifice allowed that to happen. Now the Knicks are winning, and he can extend. Does he want to cut again? Like, that'd be 3 times taking a pay cut. And if you don't see, a light at the end of the tunnel where you're going to get that big payday, I wouldn't want to do it. And I don't think he wants to do it either. I know when I kind of look at it from his perspective, if Giannis became available and the Knicks could get Giannis, would the Knicks break into the second apron? Yeah. The Knicks would break into the second apron if Giannis was available. They wouldn't care about the money. If Julius Randle shows up this year and he shows the Knicks that he's all NBA, why wouldn't the Knicks go into the second apron for him? If he shows that he's one of the top players in the NBA once again, why wouldn't they go into the second apron for him? So that's where I think we're at. I don't think it's like a huge fight, but I think Julius is trying to bet on himself. I don't think the Knicks want to do that. What I think the Knicks will do is that um, they'll let Julius play this year. I think the Knicks are going to cut some costs. Um, I think that's why you may see Mitchell Robinson leaving. Um, you may have to take that money from somewhere and say, "Hey, Julius, we can't give you the whole bag, but we can almost get you there." Um, you might have to lose Mitch to do it, and then you may have to get um, someone who makes a low salary for 2 years to fit that salary in, but to get Julius to where he near what he thinks he needs to be making. Um, so that's why I think it's gonna happen with Julius. I think if Julius comes out and he doesn't look like Julius and he doesn't look all NBA, um, that's when the Knicks have to look at things and be like, are you pushing this issue with pay? Are we gonna have to trade you, or can we come to an agreement? So that's where I think it's gonna happen with the Knicks. Um, that's pretty much all I had. Um, I I did update this. It looks kind of crazy, so I did put in Chuma Okeke for his Exhibit 10 contract. So with that Exhibit 10 contract, he's basically here for the for training camp. Um, he wants to see if he can make the team. He probably wants to see if he can impress another team. So don't look for him on the roster to start the year. I think he either gets picked up by another team or he starts in Westchester. If injuries get crazy, he can find himself on the Knicks bench. If he impresses then, and who knows. But don't look at him to play a major role or be in the rotation or be at the end of the bench to start the year. I think it was just CAA doing a favor. It doesn't really hurt the Knicks. And all right. Yep, so that's pretty much all I had. Thank y'all for joining. The support has been great. Up to 188 subscribers. Yeah, I'm trying to get my way up to that. Trying to get my way up to 500. I know I'm kind of working on things. Things are gonna get better. I know I do have a few people who want to come on as guests, other content creators, and then we can have some interesting conversations. I was kind of waiting on a lot of those people to join. I kind of want to get this part of the off season done before we have some of those other longer conversations. If there's any comments, put it in the chat. Any subjects you want to talk about, put it in the chat. There's a couple of subjects I already had picked out, but this kind of came up and I didn't. They deserve their own show. But yeah, the Knicks have one roster spot left for now. I personally think another move is coming. I think the Knicks are going to get a center. Maybe not not the center everybody wants. But I just don't think this lineup is something that they would go into the year with. All right. So everybody have a good night. I look forward to seeing you guys later, perhaps this weekend, and jump on again. And have a good night. Join us on the Nick of Time show. I know they just dropped a video. Hopefully I'll be on there soon. And good night.